The church doors flew open with a bang that echoed through the hushed sanctuary. And in rushed a small girl, no more than 8 years old. Her dress rumpled and tears streaming down her face. "Please, Piper. Please marry my Aunt Riley," she wailed, her voice piercing the air like a siren, causing every guest to freeze in shock as the organ music stumbled to a halt. Piper, standing at the altar in her pristine white gown, felt her world tilt. She already knew the truth behind those desperate words. The secret love she'd buried deep to appease her family's expectations, but now it was exploding into the open. Piper's hands trembled as she clutched her bouquet, her fiancé Mark staring at her with wide eyes, confusion etched across his handsome face. The little girl, Sophie, Riley's niece from her sister's side, collapsed at Piper's feet, sobbing uncontrollably. Whispers rippled through the pews. Piper's conservative parents in the front row exchanged horrified glances, her mother's hand flying to her mouth. How had Sophie found out? Piper's mind raced back to the hidden moments, the stolen kisses with Riley that she'd convinced herself were just a phase, a mistake she could correct by walking down this aisle. Riley had always been the steady one, the architect with a sharp mind and a heart that beat fiercely for justice. They'd met at a community center in Seattle 3 years ago, where Piper volunteered for LGBTQ+ youth programs while hiding her own struggles. Riley, openly gay and unapologetic, had drawn Piper in with her quiet confidence, her laugh that filled rooms like sunlight. Their first date was a hike in the Cascades, where under the canopy of evergreens, Riley had taken Piper's hand and said, "You don't have to pretend with me." But Piper did pretend, with everyone else. Her family, devout Catholics from a small town in Oregon, had drilled into her that love meant marriage, children, stability. Anything else was a sin, a deviation that would shatter their world. As the priest cleared his throat awkwardly, Mark stepped forward, kneeling to Sophie's level. "Hey kiddo, what's this about?" he asked gently, but his voice held an edge of unease. Sophie looked up at Piper, her eyes pleading. "Aunt Riley loves you and you love her. I heard you on the phone. You said you'd run away together, but then you didn't." Piper's stomach dropped. That call weeks ago, in a moment of weakness after a fight with Mark about wedding details. She'd poured her heart out to Riley, admitting she couldn't go through with it, but fear had won. She'd hung up, blocked Riley's number, and thrown herself into bridal fittings. The congregation buzzed now, phones discreetly pulled out to capture the drama. Piper's best friend, Jenna, rushed from the bridesmaid's side, scooping Sophie up. "This is just a mix-up," Jenna said loudly, forcing a smile, but her eyes shot daggers at Piper. Jenna knew everything, had warned her this would blow up. Piper's father stood, his face red with fury. "What the hell is going on here?" he demanded, striding toward the altar. Piper felt trapped, her veil suddenly suffocating. She glanced at the doors, half expecting Riley to appear, but she didn't. Riley had respected Piper's decision, even if it killed her. Mark pulled Piper aside. "Behind the altar's floral arch, Piper, talk to me." "Who's Riley? Is this some joke?" His voice cracked, betrayal flickering in his eyes. Piper swallowed hard, the words she'd rehearsed for months evaporating. "She's a friend. More than that. I thought I could move on." Mark's face paled. "Move on? From what? Us?" He ran a hand through his hair, the perfect groom's tux now seeming ill-fitting. They dated for 2 years, pushed by mutual friends who saw them as the ideal couple, both successful, both from good families. But Piper had never felt the spark with him that she did with Riley, the kind that made her question everything. The priest suggested a recess, and the guests filed out murmuring, leaving Piper with her family in the vestry. Her mother Ellen clutched her rosary. "Piper Marie, tell me this is a child's fantasy." Her voice trembled with denial. Piper sank into a chair, the weight of her gown pulling her down. "It's not, Mom. Riley and we were together. I love her." The admission hung in the air like smoke. Her father, Tom, paced. "Love? That's not love. That's confusion. We've raised you better than this." His words stung, echoing the sermon she'd heard growing up, the subtle digs at those people in the news. Sophie, now in Jenna's arms, whimpered. "Aunt Riley's sad all the time. She cries when she thinks I'm asleep." Piper's heart twisted. Riley had taken in Sophie after her sister, Riley's sibling, died in a car accident last year. Raising a child alone, Riley had leaned on Piper for support, and their bond deepened into something undeniable. But when Piper's engagement to Mark was announced, Riley had confronted her. "You're choosing their approval over us," Riley had said, tears in her eyes. "What about Sophie? She sees us as a family." Piper had argued it was for the best, stability, normalcy. Now, seeing Sophie's pain, she wondered if she'd been wrong. As the afternoon dragged on, Mark called off the wedding quietly, his hurt too raw to continue. "I deserve someone who chooses me fully," he said, handing back the ring. Piper nodded, relief mixing with guilt. Her parents insisted she come home with them to sort this out. But in the car ride back to Oregon, the silence was deafening. Ellen finally spoke. "We'll get you help, therapy. This isn't you." Piper stared out the window, the rainy Pacific Northwest blurring by. Therapy? As if her feelings were a disease. She thought of Riley, alone with Sophie, and the ache grew. That night in her childhood bedroom, Piper unblocked Riley's number. A flood of missed messages poured in, worried texts, then angry ones, then heartbroken pleas. The last, "If you marry him, we're done." Piper typed and deleted responses a dozen times. Finally she hit send. "It's off. Sophie ruined everything or saved it. Can we talk?" The reply came instantly. "Where?" Piper's pulse raced. This was her first real choice, defying the life scripted for her. But as she slipped out into the night, she knew the fallout was just beginning. Her family's rejection, society's whispers, the moral tug-of-war in her soul. Was love worth the destruction? Piper arrived at the small cafe in downtown Portland where Riley waited, her dark hair pulled back, eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. Sophie was at a neighbor's, Riley explained curtly as Piper slid into the booth. The air between them crackled with unspoken accusations, the familiar scent of Riley's jasmine perfume stirring memories Piper had tried to suppress. "You came," Riley said, her voice flat, but her hands fidgeted with a napkin, betraying the storm inside. "I had to," Piper replied, her throat tight. "Sophie." She blew it all open. "Mark left. My parents are devastated." Riley's eyes narrowed. "Devastated? Try what I've been through. Watching you plan a wedding while I raised your secret family." The words hit like punches. Piper reached across the table but Riley pulled back. "Don't. You chose this." Piper's mind replayed the months leading up. The engagement party where she'd smiled through toasts, all while texting Riley under the table. The guilt had eaten at her, but fear of losing her family's love kept her silent. They talked for hours, voices rising and falling. Riley confessed how Sophie's outburst wasn't accidental. The girl had overheard Riley venting to a friend about Piper's betrayal. "I didn't mean for her to hear," Riley admitted, tears welling. "But she's smart, Piper. She knows we're more than friends." Piper nodded, remembering Sophie's drawings of the three of them as a family, stick figures holding hands. "I was scared," Piper said. "My dad threatened to cut me off if I went that way. Mom said it'd kill Grandma." Riley scoffed. "And what about us? You think hiding doesn't kill me a little every day?" The conversation turned to their past, the good times that made the pain sharper. Riley had come out in college, facing her own family's initial rejection. Her parents eventually came around, but not without scars. "I fought for this life," Riley said. "You could too." Piper felt a surge of resentment. "It's easy for you. You're out. I'm the golden child, the one who never rebels." But deep down she knew Riley was right. Her choices had hurt everyone: Mark, who now faced pitying looks from friends; Sophie, confused by the adult's mess; Riley, whose trust was shattered. Word spread quickly in their tight-knit community. Piper's job as a teacher at a private school came under scrutiny. Parents whispered about influences on their children. Her principal called her in. "We support diversity, but this drama, it's distracting." Piper felt the noose tightening. Meanwhile, Riley faced her own backlash. Sophie's school sent notes about family stability, hinting at custody concerns since Riley was single. "They're questioning if I'm fit because I'm gay," Riley told Piper over the phone, voice shaking. Piper rushed over, finding Riley poring over legal papers. "We'll fight this," Piper said, pulling her into a hug. For the first time in months, they held each other without secrets. but the embrace felt fragile. Days turned to weeks of tension. Piper moved in temporarily with Riley and Sophie, helping with bedtime stories and school runs. Sophie beamed. "Are you staying forever?" Piper smiled, but inside doubt gnawed. Was she ready for this? One evening, Mark showed up unannounced, his face drawn. "I need closure," he said. Riley excused herself, but Piper saw the jealousy in her eyes. Mark confessed. "I knew something was off, but I loved you anyway." Piper apologized, but as he left, he warned, "Your family's rallying against this. Be careful." Sure enough, Tom called a family meeting excluding Piper. Jenna relayed the news. They planned an intervention. The intervention hit like a storm. At her aunt's house, Piper walked into a room of relatives, a counselor present. "We're here because we care," Tom said. The counselor spoke of confusion and choices. Piper's anger boiled. "This isn't a choice, it's who I am." She left in tears, but the seed of doubt planted. Was she selfish, appending lives for her happiness? Riley comforted her that night. "They're wrong. But you have to decide if we're worth the fight." Piper nodded, but sleep evaded her, haunted by visions of a fractured family. Social pressures mounted. Friends distanced themselves, invitations dried up. At a neighborhood barbecue, stares followed them. Riley held Piper's hand defiantly, but Piper pulled away instinctively. "Sorry," she muttered. Riley's hurt was palpable. "If you're ashamed, this won't work." That night they argued fiercely. "I'm trying," Piper yelled. "You don't get how hard this is." Riley shot back, "Hard? Try being outed against your will." The fight ended in silence, each retreating to their thoughts. Piper wondered if love could survive such constant battering. Yet amid the chaos, moments of joy emerged. Sophie's laughter during family game nights, Riley's tender glances. Piper started therapy on her own, unpacking years of internalized shame. "You're not broken," the therapist said. Piper clung to that. But as custody whispers grew louder, Riley's ex-brother-in-law threatening to sue for Sophie, Piper faced a crossroads. Support Riley fully, or back down to preserve peace. The decision loomed, heavy with consequences. The custody hearing loomed like a dark cloud over their makeshift family. Riley's ex-brother-in-law, David, Sophie's uncle from her father's side, had filed papers claiming Riley's unstable lifestyle made her unfit. Piper sat in the lawyer's office, gripping Riley's hand under the table as the attorney outlined the case. "They'll use your relationship as ammunition," he said bluntly. "Paint it as confusing for the child." Riley's face hardened. Confusing? Love is love. But Piper saw the fear in her eyes, the terror of losing Sophie. Preparations consumed them. Piper testified in depositions, swearing to their stable home, but doubts crept in. David's side dug up dirt. Old photos of Riley at pride parades, whispers of Piper's sudden switch. At work, Piper's students asked innocent questions. "Miss Piper, are you married now?" Forcing her to navigate truth and discretion. One parent pulled their kid, citing moral concerns. Piper's confidence waned. "Maybe they're right," she confessed to Jenna over coffee. "Am I ruining Sophie's life?" Jenna shook her head. "No, hiding would ruin yours." Family rifts deepened. Tom stopped speaking to Piper. Ellen sent pleading letters. "Come back to God." Piper's siblings took sides, her brother supportive in secret, her sister openly hostile. At a family funeral for a distant cousin, tensions exploded. Her sister cornered her. "You're destroying Mom and Dad." "For what?" "A phase." Piper snapped. "It's not a phase, it's my life." The argument spilled into the reception, relatives staring. Piper left early, driving to Riley's in tears. "I can't keep fighting them," she admitted. Riley held her. "Then don't. Fight for us." But betrayal lurked. David contacted Piper privately, offering a deal. Testify against Riley's fitness, and he dropped the suit, plus help mend her family ties. "Think of Sophie," he said. "She needs normalcy." Piper deleted the message, but it haunted her. Was she the problem? In a moment of weakness, she met David at a park. "I won't lie," she told him. But he pressed. "Just say the relationship is new, unstable." Piper wavered, the moral dilemma tearing her apart. She left without agreeing, but guilt festered. Riley noticed her distraction. "What's wrong?" she asked one night as Sophie slept. Piper broke down, confessing the meeting. Riley's face crumpled. "You considered it? After everything?" The argument escalated. "I was scared," Piper yelled. "For all of us." Riley stormed out, slamming the door. Alone, Piper replayed her choices: the wedding abandonment, the family estrangement. Each step forward cost something precious. She called Jenna, sobbing. "Am I wrong for this?" Jenna sighed. "Love's messy. But betrayal? That's a line." Riley returned hours later, eyes red. "I get the pressure. But if you doubt us, end it now." Piper pulled her close. "I don't doubt you. I doubt me." They reconciled tentatively, but trust cracked. The hearing approached. In court, Piper took the stand, heart pounding. David's lawyer grilled her. "Isn't this relationship sudden? Disruptive?" Piper met Riley's gaze. "No, it's real. And Sophie thrives with us." The judge nodded thoughtfully. But David's witnesses, Piper's own parents, testified against them. Tom said. Piper's confused. "This isn't healthy." Ellen wept. "We want what's best." Piper felt stabbed, the ultimate betrayal from those who raised her. The ruling came. Riley retained custody, but with supervised visits for David. Relief washed over them, but victory tasted bitter. Sophie hugged them both. "We're okay?" she asked. Riley smiled. "Yeah, kiddo." But privately, Riley confronted Piper. "Your parents. That hurt." Piper nodded. "They're lost. Like I was." Social ripples continued. Online trolls targeted them after a local news story. Piper's school placed her on leave, citing controversy. Jobless, she questioned her path. "What if I chose wrong?" she thought, staring at the ceiling. Healing began slowly. They attended couples therapy, unpacking resentments. Riley admitted her own fears. "I pushed you too hard." Piper owned her hesitations. "I hurt you by hiding." Sophie adjusted, her innocence a bomb. But external pressures persisted. At a pride event, they marched hand in hand, Piper's first public declaration. Strangers cheered, but inside she battled panic. "This is freedom," Riley whispered. Piper squeezed her hand, choosing courage. Yet new conflicts arose. Mark reappeared, dating someone new, but he sued for emotional distress over the wedding. Petty but draining. Piper settled out of court, depleting savings. "The price of truth," she muttered. Family holidays passed without invitation. Ellen called once, voice soft. "I miss you." Piper hung up, torn. Moral quandaries plagued her. Was disowning her family right? Or forgiveness? Riley urged patience. "They'll come around or not. We survive either way." As months passed, Piper found a new job at a progressive school, embracing her identity. But scars remained. One night, Sophie had a nightmare about losing them. Comforting her, Piper realized the depth of their bond. "We're family," she said. Riley joined, the three entwined. Yet, Piper wondered if the damage was irreversible. The trust eroded, the innocence lost. Highs and lows intertwined, the drama of their lives far from over. Stability proved elusive. Just as things settled, Piper's brother dropped a bombshell. Their father had a heart scare, blaming stress from the situation. Guilt crashed over Piper. "I caused this," she told Riley, packing for the hospital visit. Riley frowned. "No, their bigotry did." But Piper went alone, facing her family for the first time in months. In the waiting room, Ellen hugged her tightly. "He's asking for you." Tom, pale in his bed, looked vulnerable. "Piper," he rasped. "I was wrong to push you away." Tears flowed. "Dad, I just want to be me." He nodded weakly. "I see that now. But it's hard." The reconciliation was tentative. Tom agreed to meet Riley, but conditions attached, no flaunting. Piper bristled. "That's not fair." Back home, she vented to Riley. "They're trying, but it's conditional love." Riley sighed. "Take what you can." For Sophie, they hosted an awkward dinner. Tom shook Riley's hand stiffly. Ellen cooed over Sophie. Conversation skirted deep topics, but progress felt real. Yet, inside, Piper seethed at the compromises. Was partial acceptance enough? Society's judgment persisted. At Sophie's school play, parents gossiped audibly. "That's the lesbian couple." Sophie overheard, coming home upset. "Why do they hate us?" Riley explained gently. "Some people fear what's different." Piper added. "But we're strong together." It bonded them, but Piper's inner turmoil grew. She journaled late nights. "Am I paying too high a price?" Loneliness in crowds, doubt in quiet. Therapy helped, but decisions weighed heavy. Then betrayal struck again from within. Jenna, Piper's confidant, confessed she'd leaked details to Mark during the wedding fallout, hoping to force Piper's hand. "I thought it'd help you choose," Jenna said tearfully. Piper felt gutted. "You manipulated me?" The friendship fractured. Riley supported her. "Forgive or cut ties, your call." Piper chose distance, another loss in the tally. Professional fallout continued. Riley's architecture firm lost a conservative client after her lifestyle surfaced. "It's discrimination," Riley raged. They considered suing, but costs deterred. Instead, Riley networked in LGBTQ+ circles, landing better gigs. "Silver lining," she said. Piper admired her resilience but envied it too. "You bounce back." "I dwell." Riley kissed her forehead. "We balance each other." A turning point came at Sophie's birthday party. Inviting family, Piper braced for drama. Tom attended, even chatting with Riley about design. Ellen brought gifts, hugging them all. Sophie blew out candles, wishing for everyone happy. Piper's heart swelled. But later Tom pulled her aside. "I'm trying, but the church. They say it's sin." Piper's hope dimmed. "Then keep trying, Dad." The moral conflict raged. Compromise faith for family or vice versa. As winter set in, they planned a quiet holiday. But David resurfaced, appealing the custody ruling. "New evidence," his lawyer claimed. Photos of Piper and Riley arguing publicly. Unstable home. The stress reignited old wounds. Piper snapped at Riley over trivialities. Riley withdrew. "We're cracking," Piper thought. In therapy they confronted it. "Fear's winning," the counselor said. They recommitted, but the toll mounted. Sleepless nights strained intimacy. Food for thought came from unexpected quarters. A student essay on acceptance moved Piper. "Hiding hurts more than truth," it read. Inspired, she spoke at a school assembly on diversity, outing herself fully. Applause followed, but backlash too, emails from angry parents. The principal backed her. "This is progress." Piper felt empowered, the first time in ages. Yet, personal sacrifices accumulated. Riley turned down a dream project in New York, unwilling to relocate Sophie. "For us," she said. Piper felt guilty. "Don't give up dreams for me." Riley smiled. "You're my dream." Sweet, but Piper wondered about resentments building. Climax brewed when Tom had another health scare. At the hospital, he confessed, "I was scared of losing you. But I see your happiness now." Full acceptance? Not quite, but closer. Piper introduced Riley properly, Tom squeezing her hand. "Take care of her." Tears all around. But Ellen remained reserved, her faith a barrier. Homeward, Piper reflected on the journey. The wedding chaos, custody battles, betrayals. Each choice carried a price. Lost friends, strained careers, emotional scars. But gains too. Authenticity, love, growth. Sophie thrived, drawing families with two moms. Riley and Piper's bond, forged in fire, strengthened. Still questions lingered. As they tucked Sophie in, Piper whispered to Riley, "Was it worth it?" Riley nodded. "Every scar." But in quiet moments, Piper pondered the ethics. Had she selfishly upended lives, or bravely claimed her truth? The debate raged internally, no easy answers. With spring came renewal, but not without thorns. Piper's school renewed her contract, praising her advocacy. Riley's firm boomed with inclusive projects. Sophie excelled, her resilience inspiring. Yet shadows persisted. David's appeal failed, but he vowed to watch closely. "For her sake," he sneered in court. Piper glared. "Stay away." The victory felt hollow, vigilance now their norm. Family dynamics evolved unevenly. Tom visited more, sharing stories of his youth's regrets. "I hid parts of me too," he admitted. Piper listened, empathy blooming. Ellen thawed slowly, baking for Sophie but avoiding deep talks. At a family barbecue, tension simmered when a cousin made a snide remark. So this is the new normal? Riley stood tall. Yes, and it's beautiful. Piper backed her, pride swelling. But later, alone, she cried over lost innocence. The easy family bonds gone. Social acceptance varied. In Seattle's progressive pockets they blended in. But trips to Oregon brought stares, whispers. At a diner, a waitress refused service subtly. "We're full." Riley fumed, Piper defused. Not worth it. Inside, rage built. Why fight every day, she thought. Activism called, they joined local groups speaking at events. Piper's voice grew strong. Love isn't debatable. Applause fueled her, but exhaustion followed. Internal conflicts peaked during a quiet evening. Sophie asked, "Why did you almost marry Uncle Mark?" Piper explained honestly. "I was scared of being different." Sophie hugged her. "I'm not scared." The child's purity shamed Piper's past cowardice. Riley overheard later saying, "You've come far." But Piper confessed lingering doubts. "What if I hurt you more?" Riley cupped her face. "Pain's part of life. Regret's worse." A major test arrived. Riley proposed. On a Cascade hike, echoing their first date, she knelt. "Marry me, Piper. For us." Tears flowed. Yes. But joy mixed with fear. Planning revived old traumas, family reactions, societal pushback. Tom offered to walk Piper down the aisle, a gesture of growth. Ellen hesitated but attended fittings. "You look beautiful," she said softly. Progress, but Piper sensed undercurrents. Wedding prep unearthed buried resentments. Mark sent a congratulatory card, closure at last. But Jenna's absence stung. Piper hadn't forgiven. "Some bridges burn," Riley said. Costs tallied. Financial strains from legal fees, emotional drains from fights. Yet, vows drafted focused on commitment amid chaos. The day arrived, intimate at a lakeside venue. Sophia's flower girl beamed. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on. Cheers erupted, but Piper's mind flashed to the aborted wedding. How far she'd traveled. Reception danced with joy, Tom toasting awkwardly. "To love in all forms." Ellen clapped, tears shining. Honeymoon in Hawaii brought respite. Beach walks, honest talks. "We made it," Riley said. Piper nodded but pondered the journey's toll. Betrayals endured, damages paid. Back home life normalized. School routines, date nights, family visits. Yet, awakening dawned fully when Sophie faced bullying. "Your moms are weird," kids taunted. Sophie stood firm. "They're awesome." Piper and Riley addressed the school, turning pain to advocacy. "This is our reality," Piper thought. Constant choice between hide or fight. In reflection, Piper saw the narrative's complexity. No villains, just flawed humans navigating morals. Her parents' shift from rejection to tentative embrace. Her own from denial to defiance. Riley's steadfastness, Sophie's innocence. Each paid prices, isolations, heartaches, growths. The story's end left open wounds, healed but scarred. Love triumphed, but at what cost? As they sat watching sunset, Piper voiced the lingering query. Was sacrificing family harmony for personal truth morally right, or selfishly wrong?